today. Let's begin with round 4. The title of today's lecture is the silhouette or behind the background of the construction of the paradise on the earth, and peace humanitarianism of all the global village. God emphasized the love, and he said that the basis of ruling the world is the love. He is now making effort to build the heaven of the earth behind the world. Though Korea had been infiltrated or invaded nearly 900 times in the past times, she will not suffer that sort of invasion in the future. And the first paradise will be constructed in Korea. To 8 excellent spiritually enlightened persons living in our country Korea, and 5 ones living in the foreign countries will appear, and they will make the heaven on the earth. In addition to it, the shrines where the people will bow to God respectfully will be set up in all the places on the earth. And the peace humanitarianism, 평화인류주의 in Korea, which God emphasized, will become the common ideology of the global village. Therefore, we have to love all the neighbors and all the people of the nations on the earth, just like the people of our country. He says that in this case, the philosophical basis will be set up in accordance with this principle, and it means that the ideology of the past Dangun dynasty will be set up again today. And the Dangun ideology was 홍익인간. 홍익인간 means that the main purpose of this ideology is to give benefit to all the people. The God says that he will make Korea the most excellent and brilliant country when every one of them has this principle of love. He says that in the past history of the world, lots of countries were set up, and a country ruled a lot of other ones, but that no country continues to have the glory forever. The reason is that a country ruled other countries with power and not with love. He takes an example of Rome. He says that if Rome had ruled other countries politically with the principle of love, it could be possible to exist even today. Anyway, after we finish setting up the philosophical principle based upon love, what sort of work can make Korea the everlasting God's country and make the globe the paradise? Well, before I talk about this theme, let's think of what sort of symbolization or phenomenon can tell us that God faces what is related with Korea every day. That which God explained to Mr. Kim Moo-gun is as following. We can know it by not only the national flag and the national anthem, but by the name of the country, Han국 itself. In other words, in Korea, Han means God, and so this word has a close relationship with God. Furthermore, Han means the one country of the world, and so Korea will become the central state of the unified or the federal world in the future. God says that there will not be any wailing, and even if anybody shed tears, he or she may shed them not of the grief, but of the pleasure. In the future, there will occur lots of events in Korea which we cannot but consider to be the miracles. And God says that if those sort of miracles happen to appear, we had better understand that those things will happen by the work of God. Then, what sort of things that the Korean people should do in the future, of which God informed Mr. Kim Moo-gun? The first thing is that the book, The Secret and Mission of the Korean People, 한민족의 비밀과 사명, I mentioned before has to be translated into the language of all the countries of the world. And we have to make the people read it. The other things we have to do is as following. In the future, there will appear 7 columns or 7 excellent persons in South Korea, thanks to the work of God. And each person will get 12,000 superb disciples or followers. All in all, 84,000 members will help one another and they will make a political power. Outside of Korea, in the foreign countries, there will appear 5 excellent persons, and each of one will have 12,000 followers too. And all in all, the number of them will be 12,000 times 5 is 60,000. Consequently, these 60,000 men and women plus 84,000 of Koreans mentioned above will perform the work of making the paradise. Well, this number of 144,000, which appears in the revelation of the New Testament of the Bible, is quite meaningful in this sense. It is my annotation. When these excellent persons make a political power, as they become the center, they will make a worldwide government of the world unification. Here, God says that there will appear the president of the world unification government. And he says that he will say in person later who will become the president. Then this sort of political activity will turn the situation of the reality into the paradise. There is another important thing that we have to do. It is the work of constructing the shrine where people can pray to God. In other words, when the unified government of the world is set up, all of the things will be done under the auspices of the God, as Korea is the country of God. Therefore, it will be important to reveal the glory of God and represent the mind of thanks to Him. As a result, this work can be done when we set up shrines where we will perform the spiritual rite and worship to God. God said to Mr. Kim Moon that it would be good to put the map of Korea and the national flag at the front side of the shrine because Taegukgi represents God. In addition to this, God told him how to pray to the God. If all of the people who have various religions like the Christianism or Buddhism want to take part in this activity, it would be better for them to salute to God only in the position of standing up. And if only they bow to Taegukgi, it would be good. In my opinion, if one person wants to bow to God or with the knees down on the floor, he can do it. And if another person does not want to do so, he can stand up and only to bow to God. Then let's listen to that which God mentioned. The Korean War that happened in 1950 was the result of the law of the cause and effect. In other words, during the Silla dynasty of Korea, Silla destroyed Goguryeo and Baekje dynasty with the help of Chinese Tang against God's law of love. And that was the cause, and the Korean War was the effect. However, God said concerning the Korean War, that is, the Korean War was a sort of redemption activity for the Third World War, which was slated to break out due to the confrontation between the communism and democracy. God said that this Korean War prevented breaking out of the Third World War completely. God continued to say that in the future the Korean people will not experience the disperse of the family, wailing, tears, and the sorrowful sigh, and Korea will be united, and Korea will be changed into a paradise, and the world will be changed into the paradise too. He said that Korea is sort of miniature of the world. In accordance with this, there are two things that the Korean people have to do. The first thing is to set up the theory of the Peace Humanitarianism, 평화일리, and the other thing is to disperse this theory to the world over. Furthermore, the true humanitarianism accompanies the equalitarianism, being equal. That is, when all of the people become priests, it can be said that the true humanitarianism has been achieved. God said that the present South Korean people had better be thankful to Him, for they are in the most appropriate environment of paying off their past karma. In other words, if anyone is in the heaven, he or she cannot get even with his karma there, because that place is the heaven. The reason is that if we want to confer any virtuous activity on others, he cannot do so, because there is not anything that needs any virtuous activity, because that place is the heaven, and all of the people there are pleased. Therefore, the environment of Korea, as well as the whole world, where there are so many people who are not pleased, is the most appropriate surroundings in which they can have virtuous activity so as to get even with their past karma. Because of this fact, it may be good for them to feel thankful for the situation. Presently, there are so many slaves on the earth, and the representative example is the slave of money. In other words, those who exploit other persons and deprive them of their money is the worst slave of money. And God denotes the one who is a vice private money lender, not any common or ordinary money lender, but the vice or the evil lender as a representative example. God said that even though they are not against the law, these sort of private money lenders who exploit the general poor persons and who live a luxurious life are doomed to go to the bottommost hell after they die. Here I use the phrase are not against the law, and the true meaning of it is as following. The present highest interest rate is 20%. When a person manages his private lending bank within this rate, he is not against the law. However, when the borrower cannot pay back his loan, the interest rate becomes the compound interest, 복리 in Korean, compound interest, and the borrower finds it quite difficult to pay back his money. As a result, the original small amount of money becomes bigger and bigger, and finally his house or real estate, which was taken as a mortgage, is taken by the private lender. This sort of activity is the same as that of the exploiting other person's property or assets, and it is a complete criminal activity. In addition to it, the criminal case of the financial fraud of the voice phishing that's watched by the governmental extraordinary team is the most representative Dracula crime, which exploits other person's property. Here, phishing is a concocted word which has the meaning of voice plus private data, private information plus phishing. Concerning the case of the wicked money lenders that I mentioned above, God said that he will go to the hell not mentioned. And I think that the voice phishing case is the same as this money lending, vice money lending. Okay? God says that there are lots of discrimination on the global societies, even though Abraham Lincoln made the slaves free. In other words, there are people who love only their country, and they have the confronting behavior against the other countries. He says again that some people love only their people, and they hate and resent other people. Furthermore, there are a lot of believers of religion who love only their religion and against other religions and even hate them. He continues to say that there are persons who love only the ones who have the same skin color, and there are ones who love only their culture and do not want to see the culture of others. Lastly, he says that there are lots of persons who love their own ideology or thoughts and despise the ideology and thought of others. Therefore, God says that the future global societies need the birth of the one unified world government. He says that the basis of this world unification government is the Peace Humanitarianism, and the basis of this Peace Humanitarianism is the Spirit Prime ideology. 영원제일주의, Spirit Prime ideology, 영원제일주의 in Korean. The Spirit Prime ideology is the idea that each spirit of the human being who is in the supreme position of all the living creatures in the universe is the most precious existence. And so, the idea that we have to think of each human being as a really invaluable one is the basis of the paradise of the earth. God continues to say that the true peace humanitarianism is to love the love, peace, righteousness, and finally to love the truth. Therefore, he says that in any circumstances, this love, peace, righteousness, and truth should not be changed at all. He says that the future politics should be that of the internet, and this means that all of the people have to take part in the exchange of the flow of the information, and therefore they will have the political activities through the swift and effective change of the information. This is not in the book, and it is only my opinion concerning the God's utterance. He emphasized that each home has to have a computer. In addition to it, he emphasized one thing in various places, which is the economic equality. Let's consider what it says in detail. He says that the basic life pension and the subsidy for the disabled persons have to be enhanced considerably, and the award for the persons who served greatly for the country has become more meaningful than before. And the government has to guarantee obtaining a job for the sons and daughters of the persons of merit who served for the country. Doing such things will be able to enable anyone to devote himself or herself to his country. The God emphasizes that the new mind movement has to start so as to enhance the consciousness of the people. He says that the philosophical ideology has been the liberal democracy up till now, but the idea which will be the basis of the paradise on the earth should be the peace-oriented humanitarianism. Furthermore, the non-nuclear movement that is undergoing on the Korean Peninsula has to be the worldwide non-nuclear movement.